What's good, superstars? Back with another Cryptoys video. You got Superstar Joe, you got Superstar Rob, you got Superstar Will, Freddy, Fonz, Emilio, and JT. All the founders of the Cryptoys are here. How's it going, guys?
Jesus.
I need to duck. I need to get out of here.
Lost a couple of calories there.
Looks like Fonz is feeling that one.
Beating this up every time.
I just tweeted out the
I heard Joe could throw a punch, but you know what? All right. That's cool.
There we go. All right, so let's just get into the intro here pretty quickly, and then we'll get you guys to introduce yourselves. Guys, if you are new here, do not forget, become a superstar. Smash the subscribe button down below. Hit the bell notification so you know whenever we post, whenever we have a live stream with great founders of great companies on the channel. I mean, it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully, you guys learn something about the project. If you're new to it, if you're on the fence about Cryptoys, if it's something that you weren't sure about, hopefully this answers a bunch of questions that you guys have had. You guys have been in the Discord, in the Twitter, letting us know. So I think we got the right people here to answer any of the questions you might have. You can also become a VIP, $2.99 a month. Hit the join button underneath the video, and you get access to all the perks from there. There's our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Discord's in the description. That was a great place for you to ask the questions for tonight. Some place that you can do that. And we also have a P.O. box where you can send us something and become a Superstar Hall of Famer. And then we have a bunch of prizes coming at the end of the month. We'll talk more about this in the next video. We want to get to the questions. We don't have much time with everybody here. So, guys, maybe the best way to do this is for you to introduce yourselves. So let's start with Will. We'll kind of go in order.
Oh, what's up, everybody? My name's Will, one of the co-founders and the CEO of the company. Great to be here.
So
that's
I'll
me.
show you off your Twitter here if you guys want to give him a follow. There's Will. And we got Fonz.
Hi, all. I'm Fonz, Chief Experience Officer and co-founder of the company.
And we have Freddy.
Hello, hope everyone's doing good. I'm Freddy, Chief Creative Officer and co-founder of JT Studios and Cryptoys.
And Emilio.
Yo, Emilio, CTO of OnChain. Good to be here.
And JT.
What up, folks? JT, Chief Operating Officer and one of the founders of the company. Happy to be here.
Perfect.
And you know what? We had Will on previously, and after he said this, it felt like the congressional hearing. So I'm glad, just to let the rest of you who haven't been on before, this is Superstar Nation. We're the government, and we are doing a congressional hearing today, but it's not about aliens this time. Okay, it's about something much more fun. All
right, JT, this is our practice run for the SEC, basically.
Okay, so I mean, we kind of tried to aim our questions towards like whoever we thought in your company kind of talk or would be able to cover it. But if it's somebody else whose area it is, feel free to step in and answer it. But I guess the first couple questions here are for Will. I know that you've talked about a lot of stuff is coming in August, September type of thing for the company. Kind of teased that. Is any of that stuff that is coming an actual drop? And if so, how many, or is there a bunch of drops or any like kind of number that you can say that you have before the end of the year? What do people expect here?
The rest of the year is shaping up to be really exciting. We do have drops coming, so stay tuned. Really excited for that. We have new features to the platform coming. Lots of functionality. We shared our product roadmap board, that we posted to the Discord, and folks can access that. It's a Trello board. So there's a lot. There's a lot coming. Drops and new functionality. That's about as far as I could say. So stay tuned. It should be a fun next few months.
Okay, so that's a 2023 thing then, I guess. Cryptoys has proven that they can secure like incredible IPs on the platform. We've also heard that you've turned down a bunch of IP. Has there been progress on maybe other verticals that we haven't seen yet? Like obviously we've seen the collectibles for Motu. We've seen the Star Wars. Has there been any kind of progress with music, sports, anime, that type of thing? Like something a little bit different than we've seen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Period. End of sentence.
So yeah. It's like always try to because again, we sign deals. We work with new partners. We have agreements and NDAs that we got to keep under lids until we actually make the formal announcement. But we were being very selective and still are being very selective when it comes to which partners we sign. obviously you guys know, like, what goes into these drops is a big operation. Freddy can talk more about that. Like, these things take months to build, to get the unboxing experience right, the music dialed in, the fact that all these characters are like active, like gameplay ready characters, fully rigged and animated and ready to go. This is a big operation, and it takes a lot of man hours, and we have to be very selective. We would love to work with every company that wants to work with us, but we have to be selective here, and we are very bullish on exploring new verticals and introducing Cryptoys to new audiences. So we did sign a new partnership. You guys saw me tweet about that. Excited to share more about that at a later date. But definitely some new verticals that should expose new audiences to the platform, which is really, really exciting.
Cool. Yeah, with that Trello that you guys put out, I think was great. It helped keep people kind of in check and understanding what's going on in the background. And one of the things that it talked about, which gets us really excited and being in this space now for a long time, is the non-custodial support. Like, exactly, like, what's your vision on the non-custodial support? And like, does it go kind of hand in hand with a third-party marketplace? Or should we expect those two things kind of at the same time? Like, and this would be a question for either Will or even Emilio. I know that you have the background in that as well.
Yeah, I could start and then hand it off to Emilio. Yeah, I think we're exploring a lot of different ways for people to utilize their Cryptoys. Obviously, we talked about the marketplace plans, how we want to do both a native marketplace that's fully on cryptoys.com, but also do a third-party marketplace support so people can, move these onto different platforms. We're doing some really creative things around that. Obviously, when you're working with a lot of like big licensed IP, there are parameters that you have to abide by for such a thing. There's some really cool ideas, particularly that Emilio has brought forth to the table as far as how to do third-party and non-custodial wallet support that he's not able to talk about on this stream just yet, but some dope stuff. But that is tied to it for sure. Non-custodial wallet support and third marketplaces, you can't have one without the other, right? So that is kind of a package deal that we're working on, and should have more to share on that soon.
Yeah. So Emilio, do you have anything to add to that then that you can say? Because like that I know from this community, like, it's a very high value item. A lot of people in the digital collectible space, they do value the self-custody aspect of it. And there's also the whole thing with safety too. Like, maybe, once you start going self-custody, then you have the potential of people making mistakes, giving up their ownership by accident. Like, what can you tell us about like those thoughts and how Cryptoys will manage that?
So the thing to understand is that when you begin a new company, right, with friends and you're in it with them for years on end, we learn to speak in a different language. And Will decided to not speak that language today and said flat out, you cannot say anything about this. Okay. But you're free to infer anything that you want to speculate on, right? Or whatever. I'll say this. 20-ish, 30 years ago, right? There was a big boom. We've talked about it, I'm sure. Others have talked about it. And then there was a big crash and things cooled off. Nobody today cares or even thinks about a DNS record or what SMTP means or whatever. They care that they log into a site. They care that they can access their email, right? And the underlying tech of it doesn't really matter. It could go from one tech to another. It could all be on the same one. Nobody cares. What they care about is the value they get from the product. I think that the world would be better if we all thought that way.
Okay, we'll infer with what we can on that.
I will say that a lot of the stuff that Emilio is building, it's a very unique approach to like just how to do this in a very user-friendly way. Like, again, how do you introduce non-custodial wallet support and self-custody to people experiencing it for the first time? So there's some really cool user experience. It's like a tag team between Alfonso and Emilio on how to do that, how to give people the self-custody, but also do it in a very user-friendly way and give people a lot of utility that they get from that, but also make it not super imposing or something that they should feel like trepidatious about. So stay tuned, more to come on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to another question too. Like, we are official ambassadors of Cryptoys. We're very pleased to be involved in that. And one thing that we've noticed in dealing with you guys is that you operate, it feels like we're almost operating with a big company. Like when we're dealing with whoever on your side, if there's engineering tickets, let's say they got to put through, it's very structured, it's very organized. And I guess I mean, JT, maybe you can speak to this. Like what's the plan for Cryptoys right now? You're only a 60-person company. We feel like that is a massive positive for your QA, QC going forward in the future. So like, is this structure, are you guys almost, working with Disney and working with Mattel and working with these other big companies? Is this something that you've started now, even though you're smaller, a little bit easier to manage? Is this part of what you have to be in order to have success with these large licensors?
I wouldn't say that they're related. They're all five of us come from very different backgrounds, but we all have had success managing in different companies and know what it takes to be able to lead a team. So we are at 60 folks. There's a lot of, as you can imagine, there's a lot of cross-department collaboration that has to occur, especially between art and engineering, product and art, partnerships. I think it's great that we've done a lot, but if I have to be frank, there's still more for us to do. And I think that's a challenge at any organization. They're trying to continuously improve. I think we've done a great job of getting to where we are. But like anything else, there's opportunities. The guys always laugh, and within the company, I always say opportunities. I never use the word problems. I don't use, things like that. I would say, here's an opportunity for us to get better, because that's our mentality. We're in a very new space, doing a lot of creative work with very abstracting away a lot of the technical complexity. And all those things have to come into a single package, because at the end of the day, the consumer just cares about what they're going to get, what it looks like, and what their experience is. And we're all professionals at the end of the day, and there's more for us to do. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's dependent on these other companies. I think it's great. And they probably see some of that as well. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully I hit on those points.
Yeah, that does. And Freddy, I believe you worked at Disney, correct? Previously, do you see any similarities, differences between working at such a large place and then back over at a smaller, your smaller company here?
Yeah, a little bit. I worked for Disney a long time ago in a much different capacity. I worked with them as a stuntman. And then later in life, then working in commercial houses, I got to do a little bit of work, for Disney, but not necessarily with Disney. It is a corporation. I have worked in many other companies too, in gaming, commercials, and the movie industry that also follow a similar structure of tickets. And there needs to be a certain amount of organization to be able to put out a product in a certain amount of time. In the 3D industry, timelines and deadlines are usually pretty tight. So, all these systems have to be in place, and we're no different in that sense. All of us bring that experience from previous companies, and, that's what we're implementing here based on what we know works.
Okay. The next one, I don't know if it's a Will or a Fonz question. There was the last drop that you guys did was the Star Wars drop, obviously highly anticipated, and a lot of people waiting at their phones for the time to switch over to the time for the drop to go. And we did notice that there was kind of like an issue with volume and loading. Has there been anything implemented since that drop that should make that non-issue for future drops? Is this something that obviously I know you guys are on top of it, but just want to make sure that that's already been implemented, or if it's something that you guys were able to identify?
I think technically this falls more under
Emilio
purview, and I'll let him answer it more deeply. But like the TLDR is his team sussed out what it was the night of, so that it doesn't happen again. But he can expand on that better.
Okay,
You're muted, Emilio.
I thought Fonz just didn't care what I was saying. Um,
50-50.
we're talking about at like launch time, right? That
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a-
The
Yeah.
initial load.
yeah, no, we did suss out what that was, and it should not happen again. It was a performance issue at our database layer, basically, to put it succinctly.
Okay.
Okay.
Got hit with a lot of traffic all at once.
Yeah, it's pretty. We've seen that already a lot with a different place, different company. I think McFarland today had an issue right at the beginning. They fixed it pretty quick too. So it just always seems to be right at drop time, that scramble. But it always
And
works
honestly,
out.
it's kind of like you kind of sometimes want that problem. It shows that there's a lot of demand and a lot of interest in the project, and then you just kind of,
Yeah,
Well, that's
good.
that's why we expect you guys to get way more demand and way more volume eventually down the line, right? So just wanted to make sure it was something that was scalable and understood.
Here's hoping. But we are the sum of all our past experiences, right? So I can't promise you that we won't have an issue in the future. I can promise you that if we do, it won't be this one because they've got that one covered.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what are your this is open for anybody to answer. Obviously, last time you came on, Will, we talked about things you're going to do, and you mentioned there's going to be an ambassador program and all these things. So we just want to know what are your thoughts on the results of that ambassador program so far? It's been a couple months. Is this something you think you're going to continue with, expand, or maybe change? How's it going, and what are your thoughts on it so far?
Ambassador program has been awesome. We really are thrilled with the way it's going so far. It's a pretty young program, and grateful for you guys and your partnership and the exciting work that you're doing there, and so many other ambassadors. We're learning a lot. We also want to expand it. So there's a lot of cool stuff. I think we're kind of breaking it down into phases. We kind of had batch 1 of ambassadors. There's a lot of people that applied, and now going into batch 2 and batch 3. And how do we manage that? How do we also set up our ambassadors for success and give them all the content and all the stuff that they need from our side, like official approved content from not just us, but from our licensing partners, so then make the best content possible. So more stuff to come on that front, but we're really excited about it. And again, hats off to you guys who encouraged us early on to get that going. So we're grateful to have you guys as partners for sure.
And the licensors have actually provided comments and feedback on it as well.
Yeah, that's
very
right.
cool.
I mean, the licensing partners are actively involved in the ambassador program. So they're seeing how the whole program's coming together. If you're an ambassador for Cryptoys, you're directly basically an ambassador for, the licenses that we work with and partner with, because you're effectively, speaking on behalf of their products and their characters and their IP as well. So, so they're very involved, and they're loving the way it's going so far.
Okay. Moving on, I guess you guys have done obviously work to market the project. You've worked with iJustine, who I think is a great fit because she's into this type of stuff. She's talked about it on her channel before. And should we be expecting anything more like that type of a deal, or are we going to stick to more niche ambassador type program? What is there to expect on that type of front when it comes to marketing using mega influencer type deals?
Oh, definitely more. I mean, we want to grow the platform and the space as a whole, and we want to bring in new audiences. So, iJustine, first of all, she's a big partner of ours. We're doing some really cool stuff with her. There's some initial work that we did with her, and there's more to come on that front. Then also, as the platform gets more robust, that increases, the total addressable market and the type of categories that we can market to. So, for example, you just saw our first foray into gaming, right? We're starting to build casual mini games and mobile style games. Now that you have games as a part of the aspect of the platform, you can do partnerships with Twitch streamers and market to that audience and market to the gaming audience. Partner with YouTubers that have more of a gaming focus, not just, hey, here's this digital collectible or digital toy or Web3. It's a little bit more niche. You can go broader and be like, hey, that looks like a fun game. I want to play that. Oh, how do I play that? Oh, I need a Cryptoy to play that. Well, what's Cryptoys? Let me discover Cryptoys. Yeah. Right. So lots more to come on, partnering with influencers and people with large audiences. And as the platform gets bigger and bigger and can do more things, we'll partner with specific people on different niches. So obviously AR, big initiative, right? There's channels that are dedicated just specifically to AR. We want to partner with those type of people and those type of content creators as well. So all in the spirit of obviously growing the platform and introducing more people to the digital collecting and digital toy space.
So when it comes to like these big influencers, obviously you're partnering with a bunch of massive IP, massive brands. Do those licensors ever suggest maybe you should partner with this person? Maybe they have a tie to a certain influencer. Has that happened yet, or has it been mostly your approach?
A little bit, but I think for the most part, our licensing partners trust us to partner with the best content creators and folks that can really be great evangelists for the brand.
Okay. So we know that Mattel and Disney and et cetera, they've been involved. They've been a part of the ambassador program. They've been a part of Mattel's part of the company as investors. Besides like formatting and legal and that type of stuff, has there been suggestions from these licensors that you guys have implemented that maybe wasn't something that you thought of on your own? Or has it been like kind of you guys are in the driver's seat, you guys do what you need to do, here's the money?
You're talking about either one of the partners?
Any of your licensors, anyone in general?
I would say that a lot of the times, and like both Disney and Mattel have been extremely engaged in the product, and Fonz and Freddy can speak more to this. They work very actively on the creative side. It's a two-way conversation when building product with them, and they're very much engaged in like, oh, what about this idea? And like it's a kind of a ping pong between Freddy and the teams on like what can create the best product. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's like a one team working together. It feels more so like they're extensions of our company and vice versa, versus like, hey, let's partner up on this thing. And Fonz, the other day we were working with Disney on some cool enhancements for the backpack, right? Specifically, right? It's like they had an idea. They're like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you did X, Y, and Z? Fonz implemented it that day. Wow. Based on an idea that Disney had. So like 100% Freddy, Fonz, I don't know if you want to talk more about how, that's working on your side of the company.
Go for it, Freddy.
Yeah, like Will said, and I've said it before too, it's a true collaboration. There's no, hey, we're only doing this because this is what we do. There's no, you're doing this because this is our IP. It's truly you're like, hey, these are ideas, and then mash them together, peanut butter and jelly, and see what's the best that we can come out with, with our brains put together. And that's really how we move forward through creating the content for these IPs. So it's been great. Working with both partners, in this case, Mattel and Disney.
Okay, and then for like marketing, like what other than influencers, do you guys have plans, at least in the near future, to roll out other type of marketing techniques that we've heard before from other projects? The market's not really hot right now. Why spend the money to market? It's something where it's like if the app's not even fully developed, that like we know that not all the gamification's not out yet, the vision's not there yet. Is it worth pursuing this marketing despite not being where you need to be or where would you like to be, let's say right now? I don't really know who to direct that question to. Just curious to know your thoughts on that, in comparison to other projects.
I guess marketing, I'll take it. So like, I think there are stages to this, right? And there are, marketing can get very, very expensive. You obviously, as a company, we have a budget and we want to invest a lot of money into all different aspects of the company, obviously art and animation and engineering and product innovation, all these different things. So it's a little bit more art than science, and you have to figure out where is the best bang for your buck. Having certain features not out yet could definitely impact which influencers or marketing channels you want to partner with. Like I just mentioned, right? Like we're not going to go with gaming influencers and marketers before we have more of the gameplay fleshed out, right? But that starts to open up those particular partners. But at the same time, we have to go out with the product that we have, and we're really proud of the product that we have, and still be able to market that and bring users to the platform. So you can't stop, you can't kind of hold back, but you got to do it in stages, and you got to make sure that you're, very conscious of, the money that you spend on marketing, and do it effectively, and stay on top of, are you getting a good ROI for the money you're spending on marketing, or is the money better invested in product and innovation? So you constantly have to do that at every point. But, when we see levers to push, we'll aggressively go after that And we continually do campaigns. We continually monitor ROIs, and once we see positive ROI, you double down, you triple down, you quadruple down on that. So we're actively looking to market creatively. Obviously, this is a very new space, and a lot of people that aren't in the Web3 digital collecting space are learning about it for the first time. How do you create communications and marketing messages that really resonate with people learning about it for the first time? So we're building those campaigns and learning as we go, but we will always keep our foot on the gas and continually market. It's just to what extent and to which markets based on where the product is.
Cool. I think this one's for Fonz. Today, obviously, you guys had the Discord little chat about the beta testing for the mini game number 1. I thought it was a great chat. I learned a lot from just the question period there. And I know maybe not everybody here was there, so this might be overlapping a little bit with that chat. But what kind of steps do we have to see here? No timelines or anything like that, but to get from this type of beta testing to collectible involvement. Help us visualize like how the collectibles and the gaming kind of meshes together. Like what kind of has to happen to get there?
So essentially, it's a bit of a 2-part answer, cart before the horse kind of a thing, right? It's important that we get feedback from the community, right? Not just about like how fun the game is, but like literally we're beta testing it. So somebody found like a memory leak. We plugged it up. We'll be fixing the next release. That kind of, we have to put the game through its paces and beta test it in that regard. But moreover, we can't just release that game standalone. It needs to be connected to the main Cryptoys mobile app that we're working on. And there's 3, 4, 5 other major critical sections that are going into the application. So we release the beta standalone and test flight so that we can start getting feedback on it. While in parallel, we work on Cryptoys Mobile. And as we prepare to release Cryptoys Mobile, the game gets folded into the application. So the Cryptoys Mobile serves as a launcher for all game experiences that we create. So we essentially have to build the skeleton, which houses all these experiences so that we can launch them going forward. And when we release Cryptoys Mobile, it won't just have the first minigame, but it'll also have the AR experience as a launchable, playable game as well.
So it'll be like a token gating thing once they're all in the mobile app, or like just trying to get that connection between like what you actually purchase, what toys you purchase, and use case in the game. Is that how it will work?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
So that's yet another aspect of like why it is that it took a little longer to get the game to where it is. If we were just making a game where you could just like where it was a single character that you could play, right, or potentially even like a roster of selectable ones that are already built, it would be one thing. But instead, we have to build a platform tied to an SDK so that it literally looks inside your wallet, sees what you have, and lets you play with those characters instead.
Okay.
Not just for that game, but like the underlying technology so that future experiences can be built on top of it that essentially do the same.
So Steph screaming "Let's go!" Is that going to stay, or is that going to be taken out?
Until legal tells me that we have to pull that out, that's for me. I'm not even asking her to re-record it. Like I love this sound. I don't even know what I called it. There's an industry term for it, but like right before movies, there's always like 2 production studios, right? There's like the main one, and then you get the second one, and then like the second one always has some funny sound clip or something. That's Steph is our equivalent there.
Yeah, I know you guys love your Easter eggs. Like in that video, you guys just dropping all sorts of Easter eggs everywhere you go looking around. So I'm sure all your games are going to have all sorts of things in there that we can spot while we're playing.
We've got to start talking about which ones we want to insert now. We were so focused on just getting it out the door. We didn't actually hide anything. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
We're going to start hiding stuff in it now.
Yeah. So I got a question for Emilio. Now, I don't know what you can tell us to help us infer, but we did a whole video on partner platform integration. We talked about a lot of things, and we know that you're on the technology side. Like, what are you the most excited for in terms of what's going to be implemented? Like, there are things that you have publicly stated will be implemented. There's you personally, what excites you the most? And then with the partner platform integration, it looks like it's near. So I'm assuming this is maybe more gaming or something related to how it's going to integrate with the latest beta testing that we saw in the game. So it's kind of 2 questions there.
What's always going to excite me is the NLP aspect of the product, which we had a press release for Chat Guardian, which is what we're calling that. It's still a ways away from seeing the light of day within Cryptoys as an experience. But to answer your question on what I'm most excited about, it's always going to be that. What was the other part of your question? I'm sorry.
Well, we did a whole video on the new partner platform integration, so we speculated lots of things, but you know that has a wide breadth. We were thinking gaming with the new beta testing. Like, can you give us any more kind of idea what exactly that means?
Let me choose my words.
He's looking at Will.
I was about to like slack him something. I was about to.
Hey, we could pull Will down if you want.
I think there's a slide in an all hands deck for the company tomorrow that touches lightly on this very question. And he's trying to find the words to basically say that without saying that. I respect the position.
I'll say this. When you consider the partners that we have announced, I would say that arguably this is a partner that is just as big.
All right.
Okay.
I like that.
Freddy.
What's up?
You're the creative mind over there. I kind of wanted to pick your brain like a little bit more personal level. What's something specifically that you thought up in your head that you really wanted to implement, be it artistic, anything to do with the entire project, that it came to fruition and like you're just like, wow, like I'm so happy that I see this. Like, is there something that sticks out that you visualized and now you can see it in progress, or is there something that maybe is not here yet?
No, geez, that's I think probably the biggest mark is the first three Cryptoys, the OGs, the Corgi, the Kitty, and the Panda. This whole thing started with them.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool. Like, and I have these files in my computers that I will share eventually, where kind of like the first prototypes, the first designs on them, they've varied and changed. And then from going from that to basically all of this and sitting here talking with you guys and having a community and everything that we're putting out with every unboxing that we seem to be able to just up the stakes and level up each one. You know, this whole thing, it's one of those dream come trues.
So let me double down on that. Has there been anything that maybe didn't turn out like you expected, and how would you improve on that moving forward? Like, has there been something that you had to rush out, or has it been like all roses so far?
Oh no, there's always challenges in production. There's I don't think there's ever been a production I've been a part of that it's all roses, all the way from gaming, cinematics, commercials, whatever you want to say. So there's timelines, there's deadlines, and with those timelines, deadlines, decisions have to be made on you know, where compromises happen versus you know, what's the best product that we can put out in the time that we have. So yeah, it's no different than any other product or any other job or company, you know, that's trying to put something out.
Okay, cool. JT, this one's for you. Based on like the current community size and the needs for delivery on the roadmap, do you think you guys are adequately staffed? Do you think your team could use a little bit more help in certain areas? How do you see it moving forward? Because I think if it comes, it's gonna come in a big snowball. Are you guys prepared for that?
You know, I think I use the word internally a lot, healthy tension. There is whenever you're running a business, you're trying to account for the need, you're trying to account for what we're trying to execute, the strategy, the roadmap, current workload. How do you balance an internal team where they're sufficiently challenged, but they also have bandwidth to feel good about what they're doing? I think that, again, using the word opportunity, I think there's an opportunity that we will grow.
Waiting.
We will grow. We will grow more, but at the same time, we also, the solution is not hiring a bunch of folks, because there has to be focus, there has to be strategy, there has to be execution. So that's where the tension kind of comes in. And between us five, we've worked very closely on identifying what makes sense. How do we keep the community happy? How do we keep executing on the promise of what we're building? And it's an ongoing opportunity. So we'll keep exploring as we continue to move forward.
If I can add to that, has there been anything that you guys, obviously 5 people, it's a large amount of founders with opinions. Has there been something that you guys really haven't agreed on that you've gone back and forth? Has there been any one sticking that makes you just want to punch each other? Like, has there been that argument like that?
You know, we actually somebody, I forgot where it came up. But in another discussion, and somebody was complimenting us, I think we all do a very good job of understanding where our strengths are. And we don't have egos, like huge egos where we're like, you need to my way or the highway. I think that is one thing that I'm very proud of. I think amongst us 5 that we've done a really good job with. And, you know, I can't think of something. I don't know if maybe some of the other guys, maybe something, you know, that bothered them. But at least from our perspective, you know, there's always going to be, sometimes there's tension between, okay, how do we prioritize? How do we tackle this? Like any other company. But not that I can think of.
Cool.
I think there's a little bit of a brotherly bond on this one too. You know, when you have brothers and sisters, there's always going to be fights and there's always going to be tension and disagreements. At the same time, there's a lot of love, and you know, we always come together and try and do the best for this company.
Well, speaking of growing, so I can't see if Will speaking. You're on mute, Will.
Hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll add to that. Very well said
Yeah.
by JT and Freddy. But I'll add to that. It's like, you know, there's a book by Ben Horowitz called "The Hard Thing About Hard Things," and look, building this stuff is not easy. It's not easy, right? So every single day we run into challenges. Every single day, and it's just about how we approach those challenges. How do we, you know, come together as partners to you know, break through and come out the other side. So when you're running a startup, there's no such thing as a startup that's smooth sailing. I don't care how big or how small you are. You're building something new from scratch, and oftentimes the way you're building it is the first time the world has ever seen it in that specific incarnation. So it's a challenge, but you know, every time we face that challenge together as a team, we seem to come out stronger on the other end. So I'm very proud of us for that.
Okay. And then speaking of the masses, you're kind of in this weird space, right? We talk about a new space. There's fandom, then you got the NFT guys, but then there's also discussion about mass adoption. And you mentioned buy it, like let your grandmother be able to buy it.
Right.
Like, just help me just understand, how do you marry those two worlds where you're going to have the self-custody of the wallets, you know, the non-custodial, and then at the same time, you're going to have the grandmother who can buy it. Like, how is it going to look like in the future where that you can actually marry those two worlds?
So 30 years ago, there was and then
Once upon a time.
Want to take this one, or you want me to take it?
Go for it.
Well, I think, look, you know, building in a space that's obviously brand new, you got to really tailor in on what you are, who you are as a company. And you use the word NFT. NFT could mean 50 different things to 50 different people, right? Just like ask people to define an NFT, you get 50 different answers, right? At the same time, that's what the underlying infrastructure is, right? That's Emilio's point. It's like emails based on SMTP, but do people care about that it's SMTP? Or, you know, when we listen to music, you know, back in the day, it was MP3s. Like, let me get that MP3 player. Let me download MP3. Nowadays, just everybody listens to music, even though it's an MP3 on the back end, right? So it's about taking the early technology that's really, really important, but then defining your own path and your own lane. Obviously, the lane we picked, you guys know it very well, is digital toys. And we are trying to create that category. It's a category that didn't exist before, and we're trying to create it as we go. It's something that we feel anybody can grasp. When you hear those words, it's a toy, but it's digital. It's on a digital format. So we think that anybody of any age, you know, okay, but they might be curious. Digital toy, what can it do? And then you can explain them what can it do. You don't have to get into the NFT Web3 jargon. At the same time, we are all Web3 and NFT collectors. That's how we got started in this space. So we need the opposite end of the spectrum, where if you want to take self-custody, you can take self-custody. A great example of this is Coinbase, right? Coinbase is a platform that introduced cryptocurrency to a lot of people. A lot of people bought their first Bitcoin or Ethereum on Coinbase because they made it very easy for you to set up a Coinbase account with an email address and a password. You're able to hook up your credit card to it and buy some Bitcoin, right? So to many people, I would say to 90% of the Coinbase users, they stop there. They see their Bitcoin in their custodial wallet. They know if they have any problems, they can contact Coinbase, and they leave it at that. But then there's the 10% of users that want to hold that as self-custody, and they could transfer it over to a non-custodial wallet, right? Like a MetaMask or whatever the case may be. So we like to think of it in the same way, where you can give people both options. But when you're describing it and marketing it from a consumer standpoint and to the masses, our hypothesis, and this is just our hypothesis, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. We believe that the millions of people that aren't here in this space yet don't really care about the word NFT or the term NFT. They want utility and what they can do with these things. So we pride ourselves on being a digital toy company and really trying to own that and market towards that, that branding.
Could we expect like two options: buy with a credit card and buy with crypto pay-in?
We had that. We had that on if you were on the platform on our initial drops, you were able to do both. You're able to buy with crypto or buy with a credit card. We disabled the buy with crypto option because our payment provider at the time, we were using Wire, and Wire shut down. So we moved everything to a credit card only one. But you could see if you log into your Cryptoys account, there is a pay with crypto option that is disabled at the moment, but we do plan on bringing that back for sure.
Okay,
cool.
That might be the first bit of alpha you've gotten tonight.
Hopefully we get some more here. We got a little bit more. Funding. I know right now the space is slow. Everybody knows it. Despite what you do, it might be a little bit harder to gain some traction. We know that you had some great initial funding from like Mattel, Dapper, Animoca. I think there's more to that list. Is this now something that makes Cryptoys have to be self-sufficient, or are there like periodic injections of funding for you guys to weather this storm? How does that work?
There's a lot of different options when it comes to that. Thankfully, we have incredible investors. Like if you look at our roster of investors, like we're super grateful. Like these are some of the best investors in the world that have backed the company and have continually supported on-chain studios when we need it, right? So these are investors that have invested multiple times in the company. Whenever we have an initiative and say, hey, we need to put our foot on the gas, there's been more capital for us to go out there and raise more. And again, huge shout out to all of our investors who really have had our back from day one. They know that we're an incredibly ambitious company. And obviously you need great partners that are ambitious as well and believe in you for the long term. At the same time, great that, we were able to have our first launch a few months back, and we are generating revenue, and revenue trends are really heading in a great direction. We have more products coming and lots of, other cool initiatives. So, everything's boding really well, not just from an external funding standpoint, but also from just generating revenue through our products. So everything it seems to be trending in the right direction there. And we're very grateful.
Very good to hear that. That's some good news. I
next
see.
For the next question, I might.
Oh my gosh, there it is.
Let's go. There you go.
All right, no more hard questions for Will.
We got to get more of these hats out there.
He might want to plug his ears on this question.
And he needs up. Yeah, he needs.
Fonz has it in the background there. Nintendo has shown that they're reluctant to share their license. One of the biggest exclusions of their license, Funko is not able to secure them yet. We have yet to see Mario, Pikachu in NFT format. Do you think, aside from Cryptoys, Nintendo will be receptive to this type of technology and digital toys, and we could see them in the space within like the next 12 months? Or do you think they need to see more? They haven't seen enough from Funko apparently. So I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts? Do you think that they'll be able to come through to this space?
I'm optimistic.
I'm optimistic. I have an opinion on it. You specifically put a 12-month timer on it, right?
Yeah.
That's on the higher end of maybe for me. Nintendo is one of the most child-friendly, child-safe-minded companies in existence on the planet, and I don't think that there has been enough movement in that particular area in the space yet to their level of comfort. However, good news is things like patent pending guardian controls are on their way that may help change their mind in the future.
Okay, cool. Fonz, I guess I'm going to continue with you here. Do you guys
That's
plan
right. Will's
on
hat.
adding more additions to the already dropped collectibles? Like we know that we've seen the packaging with the first edition stamp. Does that mean first edition? Like, will there be second editions, third editions to future drops? I don't know if that's a Fonz question. It's experience, I guess.
Falls under me or Will. Well, Will, you have a loaded answer?
Yeah, there's a lot on the edition front that we want to do. Obviously, that we take cues from like collectible companies, like for example, Pokemon, who they've really had, like been able to hone in on first edition packs, second edition packs, third edition packs. This is stuff that I have like different toys from Star Wars that all have different editions, like physical ones that are made by Hasbro. So that's the reason that exists on the platform. If we want to build the predominant digital toy company in the world, we need to have an edition system as well. Nothing to announce just yet on second editions and third editions regarding existing stuff. Right now, we're focused on the first editions, but there absolutely could be in the future for sure.
Yeah. I guess if there's a time where you get like super demand on one line,
right,
it's not out of the question that you can bring back more as.
Correct. That's the idea why you set it up, just like a traditional toy company would,
All right.
So I know, Emilio, you're gonna have to go soon, so I want to hit you with a few questions here, and we'll see what we can infer from that. So Polygon, there's a big news with Polygon, right? They said they want to go all layer 2. Like there's a bit, it was massive news for that. And I know, Cryptoys is on Flowchain, and my understanding from our interview with Will was that Flowchain has some pretty cool things. We can do power-ups, and there's things built into Flowchain, which is a layer 1 solution. But like, what can you tell us? And I'm not an expert at this at all, but is Flowchain the only chain that can do this? Like, is there ever a reason to, like, could you build your vision with any other chain or with a layer 2 solution, for example, or does it have to be Flowchain?
This is a delicate one to answer. So it depends what you mean and by what you want to do, right? We're doing 50 different things. So to date, I am of the belief that with regards to what's known as composability, for example, that's just something that really sticks out when you talk about flow specifically, right? That's one of the large reasons why we chose to partner with them, and many other reasons too. But beyond that, it's not like you cannot come up with a solution if flow didn't exist, right? We would have done this with some other chain also. So can you? Yeah. But it goes deeper than that in terms of like, what specifically do you mean? The short answer is yes, you could build this on other chains. Sure.
Okay. And in terms of like layer 2 solutions, they talk about them being environmentally friendly. They're better because they're built on top. Like, what's your opinion on that? Do you is there really truly any benefits to that from, like, let's say, a scalability issue that you've ever considered? Is there anything you can tell me about somebody who would say, well, you know what, layer 2 is the way to go because it's more environmentally friendly, it's also more scalable? It's just what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's like any other evolution, right? I mean, you go from a legacy landline to mobile to satellite phones and whatever. It's the next natural evolution. Again, I still believe that it does point to what is it you're trying to do. There's a right tool for the job, depending what that job is. And you don't necessarily need to bring a machete, to something that like a little pocket knife would work for and what have you. So it's hard to answer that question. I guess you can kind of tell I'm in tech because solutions could get really big or really small.
Yep.
I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Yeah, no, it makes lots of sense. And then another big topic about, because I know we're all about the self-custody, right? Like, will it come with the 3D file so you can actually import it into other platforms in the Web3 space? Is that the plan? Or will it be just the token? You sort of just own the token that works on your platform. And does it come with a 3D file that you can bring in other places? What's that could you answer that in terms of what the plan is for it?
So that conversation initially, the thought was one way, and then we've gone back and forth on it. I to my knowledge, I don't think we've finalized that conversation. So stay tuned.
Yeah. And like whatever exists on the smart contract, there's not saying that things will exist on the smart contract that we make decisions later on to provide 3D assets and files. You can do that and augment that in addition to what's on the smart contract that lives on the smart contract. So you can do both things in parallel while keeping things pretty hyper-focused there.
And is the industry even set up for this yet? Like, do you feel like it's just still way too premature anyways, that even if it was offered, it would be useful? Like, how far out do you think we are just in terms of the industry progress where people will actually start taking, maybe they kind of already do it now, but more widespread, right?
I haven't followed up with Engine in a while. I know, Fonz, you were a big proponent at one time.
Mm-hmm.
They were the closest back when. I have no idea what they're about now, but that's the closest that I ever saw it getting somewhere.
Freddy, you can talk a little bit to how you see it. I know you've seen like different, like how you take 3D assets from one place to another, and you know maybe you could talk about your viewpoint as somebody that works with 3D models all day long.
So the way I see it is, I think we're still a little far out for technology to be common for everybody in how they develop, what program they develop, and a common extension of files that can basically be plugged in. We do have extension of files that work that you can transfer between programs right now, but platforms tend to be a little bit different. I believe right now the format that Facebook created is one of the ones that's kind of being tried and adopted to be more of a standard thing at the time, way back when. And this is kind of what I used to go between programs, FBX files. But you still have to have a certain amount of knowledge, to be able to grab that and do something with it. So I think it's going to take a little bit before the true metaverse, happens and technologies. It's widespread and commonly used between all platforms.
From my perspective, I'm just more concerned about like the utility of it. Like, it makes sense from a static 3D file. It makes sense that you would want to bring that from like place to place to place. Ours aren't static 3D files. Like our goal is for you to derive way more fun with the toy on our platform because like it's a fully rigged 3D thing, ready to play in games, move around the block, all of that. Other platforms won't really be building experiences to support that. So like even if we do like start making moves into that level of operability, unless they are also willing to develop experiences to let you play with your toy, you would really just be bringing in like a statue.
Yeah.
Okay. Freddy, I think this one falls in your court. We saw Will with the Superstar Money merch. When Cryptoys merch? When stuff for my walls that I can buy from Cryptoys? When's that coming?
When we get the mug out.
For you two, it's gonna be boxing gloves. So I'm not really shy about this either. Like I love coming up with things. We have the box, the launch box, the skateboards back there. I'm constantly testing, prototyping, checking out vendors. As far as a concise plan on what we release when, that's still TBD. But it's definitely coming.
Okay. I guess speaking about creations and physical items, the Fidgetal, we saw that a little bit on your Trello there. How do you guys see that system working? Do you see it's working more as buy a physical, get a code, redeem it for a Cryptoy? Or do you see it, I guess, more of hold certain collectibles, you have access to buy this physical? How do you see that working? I don't know if it's a Fonz or Freddy question or Will.
Why limit ourselves would be my answer.
Okay, so it could be anything.
Might be a little bit from every column you just listed. Right? We're a toy company trying to make toy company moves. So like we're already in the habit of rewarding you with things for holding certain things. As we continue to expand our offerings, why wouldn't we also let you claim a physical thing when you buy the digital version. Maybe at some point in the future, why wouldn't we let you buy a digital thing, a physical thing that lets you redeem a digital one?
I'm just waiting for my background.
I don't want to limit our options.
I'm not putting anything in the background until you guys come out with something for us. So it's on you guys. Whenever anybody asks.
Freddy's got a couple skateboards right there, as you can see. Right
I'll buy one. Send the details.
On that end, and this is I'm not much of a tease, but I can tell you that my left hand is touching some prototypes.
It's funny, like as they were talking about it, like my eyes are like going to certain corners of the room, and I'm like,
You're just looking around.
Right? I'm looking by my feet. I've got some samples. I'm gonna align with Freddy here. We can't give you a date on it, but like I will at least take it a half a step further just to give you a glimmer of hope, because we have been trying to sample various partners. You've seen the toys, you've seen the unboxing. There is a bar of quality that Freddy and team, that this entire company has set, that we have to meet. So if we're gonna get into physicals, they can't just be like your average. This is okay. We have been sampling a variety of them, and as of earlier this week, I think we've landed on the first one that we're actually going to give a good go at. So I can't give you a date of when it's happening, but like a glimmer of hope, we've selected what seems to be a suitable partner to get going.
Cool.
So this is a question for JT. As you grow, you have to obviously be ready for the masses, and your company, because it's custodial in many ways, at least right now, there's a customer service aspect to it. So you're going to have people constantly coming and asking for help for different things and dealing with issues from the community. Like, are you ready for that as you continue to go? Like, obviously you got the Disney partnership. You saw an inflow of people. As you do more releases, you're probably going to get more and more people. Like, how do you prepare for the customer service part of Cryptoys? And are you going to be able to manage, who knows how many requests are going to happen as the community grows?
Yeah, great question. Our director of customer experience, Sabina, is she's pretty much in charge and on top of all of that. And one of the first things that she implemented when she arrived was figuring out, okay, what are we hearing from our community? What are some things that we can simplify? How do we communicate with product on some of these recurring questions that we may be getting to address them in the future? So to her credit, she has a very forward-looking, and she has a lot of experience. She came over from BitPay and some other organizations, so she has a lot of great experience. And again, it's kind of the same way I answered in terms of resources. As we continue to grow, as we continue to see this, that organization will grow to support any customer request. But I subscribe to the philosophy that the best customer service is when the customer doesn't have to contact you. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things we want to do is simplify the experience so the customer feels like they're getting the service immediately and not having to wait for someone to respond to tell them what to do. And that's where her and I align, and she's doing a great job at implementing that.
Will you continue to take, questions in a community forum format right now, or a public forum? There's Discord right now. We can reach out to you guys. Do you think that there will be a continuation of answering questions through that, or do you think it will be more formalized going forward?
We're big fans of the community in Discord and that engagement. I think it brings a certain closeness that's not necessarily prevalent in other products. There may be some formality around delineation of types of issues, if I had to kind of answer that question, just to keep, because the other thing we have to kind of balance out is to make sure that folks are finding the answers that they need in the right places. And if Discord is very active, you've seen it, there's messages, and my question gets lost, there could be a sense of frustration. So I think there'll be elements of that. Poof and Steph have done a great job of introducing bots to help with some of it. So it'll be a bifurcation, but we'll continue to engage that way.
Okay. And then, Will, you've probably seen from other projects as popularity grows, there's bot problems on drops. Mm-hmm. There also may be possible side markets. Let's say trading comes into play. There could be potential of a side market that develops. Have you guys had these discussions as a team plan to prevent them, mitigate the problem anyway? It's not here right now, but it may come. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we've discussed internally. Obviously, KYC comes into play, and there's safeguards that you can do to mitigate any bot issues once they do arise. So we have a few things in place for that, and we are prepared to implement them as needed. The same thing goes for side markets on trading and under the table, that kind of stuff that violates terms of services and whatnot. We have a fantastic team in place. Obviously, the 60 folks that work for the company, but beyond that, incredible partners, general counsels, legal firms that help us do exactly this, but also stay within the terms and conditions and the policies that are set and that we also have to abide by for our licensing partners. So I'll say that all that stuff is stuff we think a lot of. And I know like there are big features like marketplace and trading that people are excited about. And those are the things that when people ask like, hey, why does it take so long for certain things to happen, is so that you can mitigate some of these issues that if you don't mitigate them can really, really come back to bite you as a company at a company level. So we have to make sure that we take care of those and button those up. We're working with some major companies that that take that very seriously as well, and it's on us to take it seriously to make sure that we protect our partners, but also protect our end customer, protect the platform, so that this whole ecosystem can thrive. So all those things are things that we think about a lot and are things that we'll be implementing as we release new functionality. I feel like every new like major feature or functionality has been thought through like 3 times over for all these like little nuances or like holes or vulnerabilities that could exist, which is why things like Guardian controls were being developed and things like that to really make sure that we cross every T and dot every I. So we're on the case. There will always be things that we can do better, but this team really wants to ship the best product possible in the most compliant way possible.
Yep.
Okay,
A minimum of 3 times things have been thought over.
Yeah.
Just before we continue, Joe, I know, Emilio, you said you only had an hour. If you want, we're not quite done yet. We got some more questions. Do you want to drop off now?
I think this is the last question for him if you want to take it.
Let's do it.
If you don't mind. It's basically about demand increasing. We obviously now people can go, they can buy something. There's no competition for like the remaining amounts at the time, but we do expect that you guys will get more traffic and the project will become more popular. I think I've heard the answer before, but I just want to confirm it. What happens when 50,000 people go for a drop that has 30,000 additions? Is it a wait list? Is it whoever smashes the button first? What happens there? And have you been able to test something of that magnitude? How do you even test that?
Yeah, so without getting too deep into the weeds, when you enter the payment flow, the purchase flow, there's a reservation that occurs internally. And so if there's X amount of inventory and you want to purchase 3, 4, 5, or however many, we reserve those. There's a reservation that occurs, and that has an expiration. Okay, so if you leave, they get back. They're re-released. Somebody who wasn't able to get it before will be able to now if they so choose to try. So I'm not, if there's an influx right away of 30,000 people trying to move forward, they'll all get to that initial screen. 100,000 people will get to that initial screen. But if some people are going to choose to just purchase 1, some people are going to choose to purchase 5. Not everyone's going to make it through, and that's just the nature of any e-commerce site that exists, where ticket sales or anything like that. That's just kind of how it works.
We do have a queuing system also on the side that we built and that we could bring back at any time. Also, we had some fun testing with that on the early days. We worked out a lot of the kinks. For the folks that remember, literally we had this queuing system where it's like Comet. It's like Comet's like running in the line, basically like that, like Freddy's doing, like the running Comet's doing the running man, and it gets to the front of the queue. And in the first beta drop that we did, it was like so buggy, and Comet just gets stuck like at the beginning of the thing. And it became like a meme in the Discord. It was hilarious. But we fixed it, and then we decided to open it up, but we could bring it back anytime.
Okay, cool. So you guys will have a first come first serve until the point that you need the wait list, and then you have it ready to go. Okay, cool. Correct. Yeah, Emilio, if you got to drop off, you can go. It doesn't matter.
You're free to stick around if you want to.
I appreciate it. I am a single dad. I gotta get 2 girls ready for school tomorrow and all that good stuff. So.
All right. Well, take care.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
for
Thank you
coming.
for your
We
time.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thank you. All right, Joey, got the next one here.
Yeah. So this is a Will or a Fonz question. The community's wondered if you have any plans for attending cons. I know that this recent one that just passed by, you guys are working really hard at on your next stuff that's coming out here. Do you have like a target? Maybe this is where we're looking to go to next, and maybe have some big representation, or have you just not gotten to that point yet? 'Cause you're
We'll
too busy?
definitely be at next year's San Diego Comic-Con, that's for sure. This year we were really heads down with some stuff that you'll see shortly, and good reasons why. But you know, and also New York Comic-Con is coming up. I plan on being there. A few other team members plan on being there. There's also D-Con later this year. We plan on being there as well. But yeah, absolutely, we want to be at those shows. And you know, we were at Comic-Con last year, but this year,
Freeze?
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
we were at Comic-Con last year. Just this year didn't line up from a company product timeline standpoint. We had to have hands on deck for a few things. But we do plan on going to New York and D-Con, and then for sure for certain next year San Diego Comic-Con.
Okay. It's a question for Fonz. So this is shout out Hinano, by the way. I know Will, you were just on his Uncommon podcast there with D. So will the common characters be upgradable in the future to boost their statometer? Not the rarity, but the statometer. So will we have accessories or power-ups in future games that will boost the character's abilities? An example would be like you're playing the game in Super Mario, you get a mushroom, you go big. You know, things like this, and also like inherent in it as well.
I saw him ask that question publicly on Twitter earlier. So the answer to part 2 is yes, which basically makes the answer to part 1 also a yes.
Okay.
Cool.
So yes to both, Hinano. Yes to both.
Yep.
And he kept going here. He asked about integrated AI. So he wants to know if you'd be able to interact with the Cryptoid while playing the game itself. And then I have an extension to that. Are we going to eventually see like verbal games? So like you verbally interact with the AI rather than maybe, let's say, something not like just, you know, the typing or whatever. I really don't know what the vision is with it. So you guys, can you answer that?
As the technology improves, so will the experience.
Okay.
Right now, we are limited by technology, not by our imagination.
Okay. And then he kept going. He asked about pocket dimensions. So he says in the future, will these pocket dimensions have social media aspect, like live streaming, like we do a video, for example, one of these pocket dimensions, chat, audio space? Is that the right understanding what these pocket dimensions are going to be?
To an extent, yeah. I don't want to give you promises as to like too many features and like tell you you're gonna be able to like Twitch stream live from your pocket. But as the documentation, like as the concept was created, one of the things that a pocket would afford you is the ability to have to host social events of some type with your friends and or possibly strangers in the future. But we did want to create like that social connectivity layer for you to be able to play with your friends. So yeah.
Okay.
So is that pockets, like, is that I seen the word Cryptoiverse, is that just a combination of pockets? Like, is that how the future vision is? Is that what we're looking at?
So think of pockets as like digital real estate with a Cryptoys twist. It becomes in a way, from like a narrative and imaginative standpoint, it's easier to think of it because every single one it's basically a little pocket dimension.
Yeah.
So like if you're a fan of sci-fi, like the concept of something that is small that houses like something significantly larger on the inside is like weird to think of in reality, real easy and awesome to think of through the lens of like video gaming and toys and cartoons and that stuff. So like that's basically what a pocket is. And as it starts to grow, we'll give you unique ways of either like merging them, connecting them, bridging pockets together between you and your friends. Like it's no coincidence that like one of the major narrative players of our storyline is the wormhole.
So that if people don't know, there's a great production that you guys put together with your initial line there, the ZooFO. Is there any expectation for further production experience type of videos maybe that we might get in the near term, or is it something that's a little bit further out?
Freddy?
So we are actively working on further more developing the story, storyboards, scripts, animatics, all that sort of stuff. So we're definitely actively working towards it. Again, as far as the timeline goes, we don't really have one. There's a lot of moving parts to what we're doing here, and it takes a lot of organization, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of hours in the day to be able to get through a lot of it. Obviously, we're listening to the community and what's the most important to them, and that's what we're trying to tackle first. So that's all I got in that front.
No, the quality of that first trailer is incredible. So shout out to you guys for all that hard work. I'm sure it takes forever to get that done, but I guess more on the community side. Anybody can take this one. You guys have shown that you do a ton of giveaways. You give cubes out to the community, keep them engaged. Are there any plans to have I guess all of the sweepstakes? I know that there's been some sweepstakes where you guys have done the draw in the background. Are there plans to have every single draw to be transparent, raffle, maybe wheel of names, or is there a reason that maybe some of them might not be transparent like that?
We there's different kind of giveaways and how you label certain things as raffles, giveaways, or sweepstakes. So when you do a sweepstakes, there's certain rules and regulations that we have to follow, not just with our lawyers, but also with our partners' lawyers. So for example, there's things that like I'm learning about for the first time, meaning like by law, if you are to allow people to enter a sweepstakes by buying something, then you have to, by law, allow a free option as well, which was why some sweepstakes say if you mail in something, you can even access it for free as part of this. So there's always got to be, and that's something by sweepstakes law that we were, educated on, right? So, and when it comes to sweepstakes, you have privacy information. People sometimes don't want to share that they won something or won an award, and we have to respect that. And then there are giveaways that we can do on stream, much more to the stuff like we do, where we spin a wheel, etc., and give away some cubes. So each structure is different, and we have to abide by the legalities and the privacy rules of those structures. So we try our best. We try to get as much involvement from the community as possible from it, but then we are tied by what we can do legally.
Okay, cool. The next one is about the Flowchain and I guess a little bit of the transparency. You've mentioned quite a few times, Will, that somebody can look up on the Flowchain if they're versed how to see how many Cryptoy cubes are available, how many are unboxed, whatever. I guess the question is, if there are users or community members that go out of their way, make a website, make an app that shows data, and maybe the data is not 100% correct, does that impact like Cryptoys, because maybe that's the only place for people to go to get this information other than the actual blockchain? Like, is it something that you've thought about? I understand that the whole purpose of not sharing that data and respect it completely. I want to make sure that anything else that comes out here doesn't impact your brand in a negative way by providing false information. And then people think, oh, there's only 100 left. I have to go buy. And then there's really 1,000 left. Or maybe it's somebody who's doing that could use it to their own, you know what I mean? They could use it to their advantage because they're the only game in town.
I think, look, and encourage folks to, as long as it's in the rules and, things are, you're able to do, is to create cool ways to interact with the product, even if they're third party, as long as, they follow within the guidelines of what we're able to do, not just with us, but with our licensed partners as well, which is stuff that's being used inside these applications, right? So with that being said, the community needs to trust that the people that are making these applications are pulling the data in the correct way. If it's not subscribed by Cryptoys and made by Cryptoys, like, we can confirm all the data. We're all for third-party apps, but they're also, make sure that people are confirming the data is right. And if you trust that the data source is accurate, fantastic. I think that's the beauty of blockchain. Things are transparent, and if people are pulling that data in the right way, then fantastic, and you have another source of information. There's a lot of interesting nuances to the Cryptoys project. It's not about like you can buy a certain amount, then there's a certain amount that's boxed, unboxed, wrapped, unwrapped, etc. So we just want to make sure that as people build more stuff onto the platform, or that's taking data from the blockchain, that they're displaying it in the correct way. And because we do want information that's accurate. We care about the community and make sure that they have access to the most accurate information. So.
Yep.
Okay, and like there's a timeline, by the way, about the marketplace, because I'm not sure what like metadata might come with it, but a lot of people were saying that they don't want to commit more, like they don't want to buy more Cryptoys until they see a marketplace where they can, instead of gambling in a sense on getting one of the like a blind, you roll the dice, maybe you get the one you want, maybe you don't. With a marketplace, they can buy what they want, rather than seeing they get the one that they want. So I think the official is 2020, early 2024. Like, is that still on track?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why we want to do a kind of two-pronged approach with a native marketplace and a third-party marketplace. So stay tuned there. Again, it's at the top of our list. Like if you look at the Trello board, it's right there near the top. We understand how important this is to the community, and we are working actively to do it in the right way. And then also make sure that we're doing it in the right way to make sure that people feel safe on the platform and new folks can come to the platform and enjoy it as well. So making good progress.
Okay, and then I guess like for you guys, I'm sure you're thinking, like when you sit in the room and you're talking about the future plans, like how far do you go? Like, do you say, where are we going to be in like 10 years? Like, do you guys think that far ahead, or is it more just like, where are we going to be in 6 months?
I'll tell you that Fonz thinks that far ahead. I got stuff from Fonz that's like 20 years from now. They're like, it's going to do this.
It's basically how we arrive at the short term, Doc. I got to reverse engineer from like 10 years out and then work backwards. Otherwise, things just start to fall apart.
Fonz shows like a Cryptoid delivering my mail in my UPS truck. It's like, look, he's going to deliver your packages.
You should see the request. I need this image in 20K because in 10 years I'm not making anything in 20K. 4K. That's all you get.
You asked earlier about what we disagree on. I keep asking for stuff like 5 years out. They keep telling me to wait. That's like the biggest issue we have.
Fonz's future, man. That's for sure. I would say that, like, we have the way we think about it is not necessarily in timelines. We think about what's the product that we ultimately want to build, and all the intricacies of it. It's all mapped out in internal documentation and internal roadmaps, and then we start taking bits and pieces on how you build that brick by brick, effectively, right? So you'll see stuff that's going to come out that's like we just built the foundation of the house right now, right? We have the website. We have the multi-drop, the partnerships with Mattel and Disney. Foundation of the house is built, and now you're going to see brick by brick this whole thing kind of come together with different features, functionality, gameplay, items. All this stuff's really going to take shape. And this stuff is not easy to build. I know, like, a lot of folks think like we could snap our fingers and it all magically appears. It's very difficult. It's very, very, very difficult. And you could see how, like, again, how tired we are, because it's like we woke up first thing in the morning and it's nonstop. Literally, I've been in this chair like nonstop, been in meetings, working with the team here. Like, we are non-freaking stop to build this platform for the community, but we love it. We're excited, and like, we can't wait to get this out. Trust us, nobody wants to release this faster than we do. We're working so hard, and we're constantly trying to push things out. But we also have a standard of quality, and we also want to make sure we do it in the right way on a lot of different fronts. So yeah, we have an ambitious plan. We have an ambitious roadmap. We have a Fonz, and it's all coming together really nicely. So
to lend a bit of strength to Will's point, it's difficult to think of this thing, of like the things that we're trying to achieve in years. Like, years is a weird way to measure this, and I'll give you just the Chat GPT example. Like, we were at version 3 to 3.5, and then the time it took to get from 3 to 3.5, and the time it's taking to get from 3.5 to 4. Like, it's just shortening with the power increasing, right? So like, we can plan to say that something's going to be, that we're going to be somewhere in about 3 to 4 years, and like, that's the goal. But then the truth is, technology will change, and like, now we have a different unlock, and like, we get to shift something and move that up ahead, and like, move something else back. So it's like, thinking about it in years is just weird. It's more like phases, and we try to do as much as we can in parallel. But the fact is that there are just some things that, like, even if we build them in parallel, you can't unlock the next thing without the linear progression. Like, we need this to unlock this so that we can combine these things and give you that experience, and that experience unlocks this. And there's just so much that we're building, and it's all coming together, but it's like forest through the trees. You know what I mean?
And there's always things like, how can we enhance this experience and make it better with the plans that we have, aka Vision Pro. It's like, what can we do with that, entertainment-wise or app-wise, to interact with your characters. So when that comes and development, that we're doing, how do we plug all that into that? And then with Vision Pro, maybe there's going to be competitors too. I mean, Facebook's already, right at the heels there, and there's going to be others. And I always compare this stuff too. And I think it was funny today in Discord, there was something about it too. How like the Nokia had the snake phone, the snake game, right? And then that was like, it was awesome. And you spend so much time playing that thing, and look at what you can do with phones today, right? So 5, 8, 10 years from now, how do we advance our technology and our piece of the pie to adapt to what the new technology is and the unlocks, like Fonz said.
Yep. Okay, so I mean, I guess Fonz just pretty much said that you guys all think in Trello boards in your heads, and that's what you guys are seeing more than timelines. But you guys have been here. You sat here for an hour and 20 minutes. We tried to kind of move the questions around so you didn't all have to answer questions all at once, kind of just because we wanted to prepare you guys so you guys could really think in the time that you weren't speaking about what kind of alpha you wanted to share with the stream today. So, I mean, is there anything that you can give to the viewers who've been here? They've been supporting the stream, and there's been amazing comments in there. I think there's a little thing you can drop on them. Will, what do you think?
Oh, he's muted.
He's muted.
Thank God I was muted because I said something. Really stupid.
Woo!
If that would have came through, oh my gosh.
Oh man.
I'll say that yes, there's new exciting IP coming to the platform, new characters, and iconic characters. I will say also that I think Freddy keeps outdoing himself, and his team, they keep outdoing themselves every single time. They work on new unboxing experiences and new characters. Like, I thought, like, Star Wars is just incredible. Like, that unboxing experience is phenomenal. But Freddy showed a sneak peek of the next one, and also incredibly moving and incredibly special. So just wait, that's exciting. And that'll be coming hopefully your way soon. We have let's see, another cool exciting alpha for the folks that stuck around here. A character that's been in really high demand will be coming to the Cryptoys platform. And I think we might be able to share some news shortly on that. I'll leave it at that.
Well, we know last time we asked you questions, and you said about when you said shortly, it was like next week. Yeah. So
this particular announcement may be imminent, I would say.
Yeah, last time we asked you, it was like next week, 2 weeks, like it was. So we've got a feel for what you mean by that. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah.
Our time works in quantum physics. It's there, it's here, it's everywhere. There's no constraint in time.
Yeah. Well, speaking of time, guys, an hour and 23 minutes. I mean, we came prepared. This is Congress, like we said, all right? This is Congress. So we came, we did the hearing. You guys did an amazing job. And of course, we appreciate your time. Joe, what do you think? It's our time here.
I feel prepared. JT, you feel better about our future with the SEC now? That's like
I feel good, and I want to commend Joe and Rob. You guys did a fantastic job. It felt very professional. So kudos to you guys on your live stream and the great job you guys are doing.
Well, we know your time is valuable, so we make sure we fire them all at you in one shot, so that we're not here for 3 hours, right?
Yeah, we appreciate it. Nobody's a bigger fan than me, though. Let me tell you.
Yeah, how did you get that hat?
We can make some arrangements. We
We trade for alpha.
And that
I'll trade you for some wall art.
There you go. Yeah, let's do it.
I actually need to know, because one day Joe told me, he's like, we got to get Fonz a mug. I'm like, okay, we got to make a mug. What was promised on this mug, just so I know? What
Listen,
needs to go on this mug?
First of all, Rob, we have to make sure that the quality is where we want the mug to be before we release it. All right. We have to do prototypes. We have to make sure that everything is good, and then we send the mug. It just can't be any mug. So Fonz is gonna wait patiently, no problem.
You know what? Y'all are waiting patiently for us, so I'll take that. That's perfectly fine.
They're gonna roll at the marketplace before we roll at the mug. So we'll get that arranged. So guys, I mean, again, appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, we love it when we have you're all so kind to come at the same time on the channel, and we really appreciate that. Everybody, if you're watching, you know, you can always find these guys on Discord. We show their Twitters. The team is extremely interactive with the community, so in a way I haven't really seen before on other projects. So you could definitely be involved if you want to be involved. You can join the Discord. You can find them on Twitter. And yeah, like, we want to continue this conversation. We're excited to see what's to come. We'll be covering it. Guys, if you haven't already, don't forget, become a superstar, smash the subscribe button, join the Superstar fam, hit the bell notification button to get every single video every single day. We do not miss. We're coming every single day. It looks like the hats are going to have to be handed out at some point. You can always look in our description below and find that. And thank you to our Superstar VIPs for all your support. We appreciate you guys. And remember, we do have the Superstar Utility Program, so you can always go into the description below and you can join our Discord as well and let us know. So guys, thank you all so much. We appreciate your support. Take care, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.
Peace.